This is a trade recap for July the 13th, 2012 on the ES Runner and Euro Runner trading systems. Starting from 3 a.m., we take profits after the first 15 minutes of the European market cash open. That would be 3:15 on through 9:30 would be the pre-market. And then 9:30 when the market opens, we stay out of the market for 15 minutes, taking profits from 9:45 until 4 o'clock, which is 15 minutes before the market closes. This morning, we had some news events to contend with. We had 3:15 a chef PPI, but there was no trade signaled at that time. But we did have the 5:30 Italian 10-year bond auction, a very big market mover, and the 8 a.m. PPI and core PPI, and then the 9:55 University of Michigan consumer sentiment. On Fridays, we only take trade profits until 12 o'clock on the ES Runner. For the Euro, profits are taken from 2 a.m. through 12 p.m. So profits, no new trades are taken for the system's profit and loss after 12 p.m. on Friday afternoons. This morning, pre-market, there was an entry long here, but there was a news event at 5:30, so this entry long at 5:15 was not to be taken by anybody. Don't have adequate time to make profit. You need at least 30 minutes prior to a news event to justify an entry to give you sufficient time to make profit. This scalp here, trying to get that line to connect where the open price was here. This scalp here occurred at 6 o'clock. It was opened here. You close at the first cautionary open of the first cautionary triangle, which is right there, for 2 ticks of loss from open to open. Again, we use open to open because when you take a scalp immediately upon the signal being generated right here, you get the open price or a tick worse or a tick better. When you close a trade on the opposite direction triangle coming in, which next week this will show up as a yellow triangle, so I'll be able to start saying yellow triangles as opposed to opposite direction triangles. You close on the first open price, give or take a tick as well, so it all evens out. 2 ticks lost in this trade. Another scalp came in here, went up about 3 ticks, fell about 4 ticks, was exited here at the first. Actually, excuse me, should have been exited here at the opposite direction triangle. So this trade actually lost its 6 ticks. So -2, -6, we're down -8 ticks for the morning. It was a very choppy morning. The ES had a range of 6.25 points before about when the market opened. See where the market opened right here? The market took off in a big way. Before that, it was a 6-point move for the pre-market. Very difficult to make money when it's pre-market choppy like that, but the system still does well most days like that. When other people are losing 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 points, 10 or more points on a choppy day, these systems either make a small amount of money, break even, or have a small loss. So as impressed as I am with the system's high success rate during good market conditions, I'm just as impressed with it when it comes to choppy markets, where people tend to lose a lot of money. These, again, either make a little bit, break even, or lose a little bit. So again, here we got a short. Now the rule for a short is to be 1 tick of open beyond the yellow. It did not print an R here because this open price was on the yellow, but the next candle, which is the chase price, was in fact 1 tick of an open beneath the yellow, which is the rule for an entry. And it should have printed the R, but this is something I need to talk to the systems developer about, having the code for the 1 tick apply over to what's called the chase price and not just the trigger price. Right now it's the R's applying to the trigger price only. It needs to apply to the chase price as well, which is a simple modification. But for traders who knew the rules in the room that an entry candle had to be at least 1 tick and open beyond the yellow, then they got into the trade here. 6 ticks is the profit target. It went against it. Well, this candle here eventually went against it 2 3/4, but from entry here, it went only about 1 1/4 points against it. And then the 6 ticks was hit here, and the 6 ticks was also hit again here. So on 2 occasions over the course of 10 minutes, the 6 ticks was hit several times. So a likely fill took place here at the 6 ticks. I count the stop of a trade, stop loss being hit, if the price just hits the stop loss the same way I do count the take profit. So I keep things consistent and even that way as well. So this was 6 ticks of profit made on the first contract, and then there was a news event at 8:30, which is right here, and the trader, the rules for the runner is to exit on the open candle of the candle before the news event. the open price, that is, of the candle before the news event, which was right here for 4 ticks on the runner. So 6 plus 4 on independent contracts is 10. And when I say contracts, you could have 10 contracts as long as you divide it up in half. So 5 contracts here, 5 contracts here. You take half the contracts on the scalp. So I use 1 and 1 for scalps. And then a primary entry trade is a 2 contract trade, twice as much as a scalp, with 1 being the first take profit of 6 ticks pre-market, the second being a runner. So 6 plus 4 is 10. With the 2 and the -2 and the -8, that is a total of only 2 ticks were made this morning. And then we go into the regular trading hour, regular trading hours, excuse me. And the market opened in an extremely explosive way. We stay out of market open trades for the first 15 minutes, but we are looking at considering taking the trades in the market open if they are in the same direction as the 30-minute system. The 30-minute system, which I'll show you in a moment here, made a tremendous amount of profit today, as it tends to do about 80% of the time. It's a very profitable system. I am offering a signal service and a managed account service on the 30-minute system due to the fantastic profit from it, its very high success rate, and consistency. It's a tremendous system. The 2 and the 5-minute systems are great as well. You just have to be in the room to trade those. It's more of a day trading system. The market open was right here. As you can see, this trade made 14 3/4 points from the final chase price. The chase price was 5 points worse than the trigger. That is well past what I want traders to take on a chase. So I'm not counting this trade as a trade that the traders got into. But just to show you the market open, and of course this was a fantastic trade. The valid trades to take, there were no valid scalps here to take because there was a news event at 9:55. So this 2 right here was a scalp predicated on the news event, based on the news event, therefore not a valid scalp to take. This 4, I told several people in the room to take it because I really felt when the 4 came in it was going to make a lot of money very fast. Several traders did take it, and you can see here it made its 2 points very quickly, but it's not a valid scalp, which I don't use for profit and loss, because for a valid intra-series scalp you have to have 3 periods of the stop loss line being flat, which is represented by dots. Only 2 occurred here, or a 2-point pullback between the bar before the previous scalp and the new scalp. And from here, the highest point to here was only 5 ticks. So this was not a valid scalp, though a lot of traders in the room took the scalp and made very fast profit on it. This was a valid scalp. It took an awful long time to go somewhere. Eventually, right here, I called an exit of the scalp. It was just too many dojis and it was taking too long, and so traders got out at 4 ticks. It eventually came up here and made 7, but eventually fell, and then it would have been exited right here, which was actually a break even from the entry price. But again, I called the exit of the trade for right here, and most everybody in the room that took the trade, it made anywhere from 3 to 5 ticks. On average, it was 4 ticks that were made. So that was 4 ticks on 1 contract, and that's the only trade for the day, because since we don't take any profits up until noon. Now this scalp here was 11.34. It was inside the yellow. I told traders to take this scalp because as long as you have enough room from the open price to the yellow, it would be likely a good trade. Because we're still experimenting with the trades, the scalps inside the yellow, where you have this buffer zone, a large enough buffer zone, no one in the room took this trade, but it did end up becoming a 2-point trade, but we're not going to count this as profit. So we only have 1 trade for the regular trading hours on Friday today. The 30-minute system, though, I'll show you the 30-minute system here. 30-minute system had a fantastic Friday. Several traders took the 30-minute system trades. They got in here at the end of the Asian session, and this trade made the rules for the 30-minute system are fairly straightforward. You make 5 points on your first contract. Your second contract becomes a runner. Once you've made profit on your first contract, you can take the first scalp or sprint in a series. Series is the white line of the smart line. When the smart line is white, it's what's called a series, where scalps can come up during that series. This first sprint was therefore a valid trade to take. So traders that got in here, they made their 5 points of profit in here. Entry was 34.25. The exit would have been 39.25, which is right about here. So when the sprint came in, this was a valid trade to take. The profit target on the sprint would be also 5 points. So this is 5 on the first contract, 5 on the second contract. But remember, you've got a 5 on the first contract here, 5 on an additional contract here. But the second contract from the entry is the runner. That trade goes to a runner. Once you make your 5 points here, you move your runner to a break-even status. So the break-even would have been obviously the open price at 34.25. By the time it made its 5 points here, the runner's brought to break-even, which is 34.25, and allowed to run until the end of the day on a Friday when you would close it. This runner made 17.5 points today. So for those that would have taken this trade, or for those that did take this trade, this was a very good trade. The 30-minute system continues to have a lot of very high success. This trade made 15.75 points. This trade wasn't taken because it was prior to FOMC meeting on that morning. No one's to take trades the morning of FOMC. This trade here made 13.75 points. This trade was a news event, therefore not a valid trade, and I can go back and on and on and on and show you. For those interested that want to see this system live or want to trade on or have signals or a managed account, please come in the room as a trial member and see why the 30-minute system has added even more profit to the already very profitable 2- and 5-minute systems. It's a fantastic system. Just for the heck of it, I'll show you. I'll go back and I'll put in 1,000 bars. Let it calculate. Same trades, of course. Nothing changes when you change the time frame. You just go back and you're able to calculate more trades. 13 points. News event not to be taken. This trade made 23 points. This trade was inside the yellow. So this is a trade which the traders would not have taken this trade until it got outside of the yellow, which it didn't eventually. It made profit. It made the 5 points, but not inside the yellow. It's not a valid trade. And then go back and back and back. This trade here was actually, as you can see right here, this was actually, if I remember correctly, oh, this was 4th of July. That's right. No trades on 4th of July. Even though the market was somewhat open in the early morning hours, you would have closed the trade obviously right before the market closed at 11 o'clock. So this trade ended up, if somebody took the trade, they would have closed it right before the markets closed, and this would have been a slight loser. But no one trades on the 4th of July for a longer term trade, which is 30-minute system. You don't take that trade. If you did, again, the worst case is it lost about, from the open price here, it lost about either the close at the top here or the close at the bottom here. It lost anywhere from 2 to 4 points. This trade made its 5 points and had a runner get stopped out up here, but the runner did still end up making about 2 points. This trade here was the only losing trade in the past 3 weeks. That trade. That's it. This trade here made 39 points. Inside, it was outside the yellow, but the thing was with this trade is that it was at the end of the market's close, so it was not a trade to be taken. Instead, I had the traders take this trade on the next day when it got past the yellow right here. When it was closed above the yellow, I told everybody to wait 2 bars actually to close above the yellow. So they took a trade right around in here. It was in the Asian hours, about 9 or 10:30 at night. I can't remember the exact time, but in the room that evening, I told everybody, I know there was a trade signal to go long. It was before the markets close. Wait till we get a couple candles, at least 1 candle, if not 2, above the yellow, and then take the trade. So this was a very successful trade. As you can see, first scalp numbers in the series. First scalp numbers were also very successful. This one here made 5 points. And this one is inside the yellow, not to be taken. So anyway, going back, I could go back for months and show you the tremendous success in the system. This is why I'm going to use this system for the managed accounts and for the signal service. All right, so anyway, that, by the way, in the last 3 weeks, this 30-minute system has made over 75 points right now. That's over 75 points in 2.5 weeks. It's been about 17 days. I think it's been about 17 or 18 days, and it's made just about 80 points. I think it's made more than 80 points, actually. It was at about 75 points 2 days ago before this most recent trade, and this one added 5 points 5 points on the sprint, and then 17 points on the runner. So that's 5 plus 5 is 10. 17 is 27 more points on top of the 65 we were at a couple of days ago. That is about 92 points in 3 weeks. And that's no exaggeration, that's no curve fitting, that's no cherry picking, that's no BS. That's what it made. Okay, now to go to the Euro runner. The Euro runner today. Choppy day. The Euro was up and down today. The Euro had 38 pips a move before about 10 o'clock in the morning until the market opened up and went skyrocket high. The Euro was at about 38 pips a move. Very choppy morning, but still with the Euro choppy, we had profit even on a choppy morning. Now, there are choppy mornings in the Euro that it loses, okay? I'm not saying that choppy mornings don't affect these systems, but they're less losses than everybody else has. I have traders call me every day on choppy days, telling me how much they lost, ask me how well the systems did, and they're amazed at either how the systems make profit on the choppy day or have losses that are minimal compared to the big losses they took. Here, we take profits from 2 a.m. That is right here. We got a short that's set up here before 2 a.m., but since we're looking at profits from 2 a.m., this is not to be counted. You can always look to take maybe a trade after 2 a.m., of course, and take, if you get in the room, take a pullback or something. And if so, this trade ended up going down about 16 pips, but we're looking for 20 of profit. And it would have been brought to break even on the news event at 3:15 on the chef. So if your trade was in profit, you bring it to break even. And so down here, if traders got in this trade at 1:50 in the morning or 1:55 in the morning, they would have brought their position to break even once the 3:15 news release came out. Because it's a medium impact, you bring your position to break even if you're in profit, you close it if you're in loss. On a high impact, you close it if you're in loss or in profit. Those are the differences between the news releases. So by bringing the trade to break even, this trade would have been a break even trade for traders. Otherwise, this trade long here at 450 would have been exited at the candle before the 530 Italian Treasury bond auction. And that was 4 pips a loss on the entire contract, so 4 pips times 2. Because remember, you split the position up into halves. First half makes 20 pips, second half becomes a runner brought to break even. So instead here, because the entire position was taken out at 4 pips, it's 4 pips times 2. Here you had a short, and then you had the news event at 8:30. You take it out at the open of the candle before 8:30, which is 8:25. That means it made 9 pips times 2. So negative 4 times 2 is negative 8, plus 9 times 2 is positive 18. We're up 10 pips. And then we have a scalp up here that unfortunately lost 9 pips from the open price to the open price. That's 9 pips of loss. So with 9 negative plus the 10, we're up 1 pip for a choppy day. Now this trade here, why wasn't it taken at open? Because the chase price was larger than the trigger price by more than 20 pips. Therefore, this is not a valid trade to take for rookies. It's too big of a chase. It's just too big of a chase. Things crash up here, which eventually they did. No more trades taken up at 12 o'clock. So that's a profit for today. On a choppy Friday, we still had slight profit on the system. And this is a long video. Sorry for this video being so long, but I was going over the 30-minute system as well. Thank you very much. Look forward to seeing you in the room. Bye-bye.